From our studios at the corner of 8th and Walton in Bentonville, Arkansas, welcome to Saturday Morning Meeting, brought to you in part by Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. Saturday Morning Meeting covers Walmart, Sam's Club, and the consumer product companies that are represented on the racks and shelves throughout the country and around the world. I'm Derek Ridenauer, and our focus is on the insights, trends, and best practices to help you as a supplier grow your business with the world's largest retailer. Thank you for joining us. And coming up today, I'll be talking with Chuck Hyde. He is the CEO of the Soderquist Center. And reviewing this week's top news stories with me are Bill Sussman from Collective Bias. But first, the headlines. Walmart announced that its annual shareholders meeting will take place on Friday, June 6th at Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The meeting starts at 7 a.m. Central Time and will be webcast from Walmart's corporate website. The Contra Times reports that Walmart Labs has opened a new e-commerce center in Sunnyvale, California, marking another expansion of its Silicon Valley operations. The center currently employs 500 people, but Walmart says it has plans to double that number and is hiring engineers, e-commerce specialists, and programmers to meet the challenges of its growing e-commerce business. CNET's Donna Tam reports that Walmart's latest mobile efforts are geared toward helping its customers integrate online and in-store shopping. They won't be following Amazon's lead in using augmented reality technology such as Flow, which allows shoppers to take pictures of products and then order them instantly through e-commerce retailers. Instead, Walmart is testing its Scan and Go automated smartphone checkout and apps that allow in-store customers to check wish lists, learn about specials, and find products within the store. And finally, fruity cocktail lovers can rejoice in the latest addition to Walmart's assortment, Skimpy Mixers, a line of low-calorie, low-sugar mixers made from real fruit juices. The idea for the product came when two of the company's founders tried a delicious drink at a pool party, only to find out later that the drink contained 800 calories. After teaming up with a registered dietitian, they came up with their own drink mixes, which only have 15 to 40 calories, depending on the flavor. Skimpy Mixers are now available in 1,300 Walmart stores. Check out Walmart and supplier news as is reported on walmartnewsnow.com. And we're joined now by Bill Sussman from Collective Bias, our panel for this week. Bill, thanks for coming in. Walmart announced this week that they are going to launch their brand new, relaunch their application for their Walmart.com app. Not really following suit with what Amazon has done with the item recognition and being able to go and take a picture of it. Good move, bad move?
I think it's a great move. I think, for Walmart, they're recognizing that it's really more about pull marketing than push marketing. The consumers nowadays wants all the information available to them at their fingertips when they want it. And Walmart.com is an amazing asset for Walmart, but you can't access it when you're walking through a store unless you can access it on a tablet or your smartphone. So I think it's really recognizing the shift in the consumer, and it's not necessarily about selling more product on Walmart.com. It's about using Walmart.com as that research vehicle to sell more product in the store, and that's great behavior.
Yeah, and it's interesting as you brought that up, because we've seen the customer kind of shift from the baby boomers, where manufacturers really kind of dictated. I think really before Walmart, manufacturers dictated what consumers were going to buy, in fact, what they made and what they made available. Walmart changed that years ago and began to focus on the customer, or not really customer, but the retail. The retailer then began to drive the product assortment and what was available. Yep. Millennials have changed that completely around and said, the customer is really where it's going to be. I'm going to decide what's best for me. So I think we've been seeing that with Amazon, with Target.com, Walmart.com, and all the other sites that are out there. So let's talk a little bit about, because you talked about the push-pull strategy. This is certainly a pull strategy. Let's the consumers yank it through the supply chain. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right, Derek. I mean, consumers vote with their pocketbook, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, you can look at the past week of retail results from other retailers out there who haven't really embraced omnichannel retailing yet. H.H. Gregg, right? Great example.
Right.
They got killed this week. Why? Because they are very stuck in the brick and mortar model, and they, how do you sell electronics that way anymore?
Well, I was going to say, it's very hard to be an electronics store and not be up to date on the electronics and where your customers are with smartphones.
Exactly right. You look at, let's look at other parts of the retail category. You look at the grocers who are winning, right? It's the grocers who are really progressive.
Who've done a great job with their app, and they have a presence in Silicon Valley, which we'll talk about Walmart doing that here in just a second.
Yeah.
But Kroger seems to be very laser focused on driving customers with their loyalty card, but more importantly, driving customers with their online app that is easily accessible through the mobile. You can add coupons to it when you're in their store shopping. Is Walmart catching up to Kroger?
I think they are starting to catch up. I mean, they're not all the way to bright yet as to where they could be, but I think, you know, that was a big part of why they brought Walmart Labs on board, right? And they made that acquisition. And I think some of the things that those guys have brought to the table and have been doing over the past couple of years, you know, you're starting to see it in what's coming out there. To your point about Kroger, I mean, Kroger's not going to rest on what they've been doing, though. They made an acquisition this week. They acquired a digital couponing company, and it won't take them long before they integrate that, even in addition to what they do with the loyalty card into their app.
And Kroger is being very aggressive about their acquisitions.
Yep.
Earlier this year, or last year, I guess they bought Harris Teeter.
That's right.
They're continuing to look for other acquisitions, couponing not to be the least. I want to go a step beyond. Are manufacturers struggling with the pull strategy? Or do they seem to be readily embracing that?
I think they're struggling a little bit. I mean, I think there's this, you know, on the manufacturing side, there's this dynamic of, you know, you don't allocate your budget thinking about, you know, the pull strategy, right? It's a push strategy.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's about creating assets, it's about creative, it's about all those kind of things. And, you know, nowadays, you know, you do have to be smart and thinking about, all right, you know, where are we going to put it and how are we going to make that available to people so when they want it? We see that in our business all the time. It's a big reason why people work with Collective Bias. They want the content to be created and distributed and live a bunch of different places. So when a consumer starts their shopping journey, the way they always start their shopping journey, on Google with a search, it's not just about, oh, that lives on Walmart.com or the retailer site or my own brand site. It's on blogger sites. It's on everybody's sites.
My wife is great at doing research, but she always wants to go out and find out what are people saying about this product or this category.
Exactly.
Which one is the best? What's the cost? Does the cost justify, or do the benefits justify the cost? And she really doesn't care where it comes from, whether it's Walmart or Target, or if she has to order it on Etsy or eBay. But she does want to do her research and find out what people are commenting about it. So that's why I'm asking about manufacturers, because I think so many manufacturers and CPG companies seem to think if I can get a good cost, I get it to Walmart, get it on the shelves, it'll fly off the shelves. Walmart has done a great job historically of that.
Yep.
But I also see and hear about CPG companies who are launching a new item, but they don't invest in anything to do the pull strategy and yank it through that supply chain. And so customers don't realize it's even there. And then they can't believe they're canceled or deleted 3 months later.
Yeah, and I think to your point about consumer behavior change, consumers have changed the way they use retailers as well, right? Retailers, part of the rationale for what was important about what a retailer brought to the table was they help simplify the buying decision for me. All right, there could be 400 products in that category, but they can only put 40 of them on the shelf. Well, that helps simplify it right away. Well,
but
now,
you're also, as a consumer, assuming those are the best in the category.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And now I don't think they're relying on the retail expertise, the buyer's expertise. You know, what's going to make a product and get it onto the shelf is the word of mouth, you know, that their peers, you know, their Facebook friends and, you know, all those people who are, you know, if you're a mom living in the Midwest with 2 kids, you're probably going to believe a mom living in the Midwest with 2 kids more than you're going to believe a buyer, right? Who made that decision to put it on the shelf.
Or the marketing company from a CPG
Exactly.
company.
So there's a healthy skepticism, and because of the availability of the technology now to be able to do things differently, the consumer doesn't have to get the endorsement from the retailer or the brand anymore. They get the endorsement from the public.
Last thing I want to talk about, which kind of goes into what we're talking about, skimping mixers, products that are out now, Walmart's carrying them, invented by moms, as an answer to adult beverage mixers that are really high in sugar, really high in calories, stuff that it's not good for you aside from the alcohol that you're putting in it. But a great concept. Walmart's taken off with it. H-E-B's put it in some stores as well as some other retailers. What would you tell them, those moms who developed this? Yeah,
well, I mean, first thing is, you know, kudos to them, right? I mean, if there's a problem out there that needs to be solved, give it to a mom. They're going to solve that problem for you. So that's great. And then the second piece is great. Now, this is only the first step of your success, right? You got it in. You got your test program in 500 stores and in a region. You know, when Walmart gives you full assuming you're going to be incredibly successful, it's a great product. When Walmart gives you full distribution, how are you going to be ready to handle that? Have you thought about, to your point, you know, everyone always thinks about the manufacturing challenges or the distribution challenges. Have you thought about the marketing challenges behind that as well?
How do you keep it on the shelf? And as we've talked to TJ Foltz before, keeping it on the shelf is the hardest thing. He, by the way, is with Humankind Water. But
yeah.
that's the challenge.
With Walmart, right? I mean, Walmart's great. They give you that opportunity, but after you get that opportunity, it's all about sales velocity, and it's got to move, or you're gonna struggle.
Bill Sussman with Collective Bias, thank you very much. Stick around, because when we come back, we're going to visit with Chuck Hyde from the Soderquist Center and give you some tips on developing your career. All coming up. The Saturday morning meeting continues.
Imagine what it would be like if you knew the weather up to a year in advance. What would you do differently for your business or your life? At Weather Trends, we don't imagine it. We do it. We're a team of meteorologists, mathematicians, and business weather advisors. And we've spent the last 20 years developing a new way to forecast months in advance. We've been studying weather's effect on product sales based on every 1 degree change in temperature. We can now take your sales data and show you exactly how the weather impacts your business down to a single degree. We're leading the way into a new era in forecasting and a new power in business decisions. And we invite you to join us. Welcome to Weather Trends.
Their business model is suppliers teaching suppliers. So when you come to 8th and Walton, you can count on having very experienced trainers who understand how suppliers work within Walmart, and they take advantage of that and incorporate that into their curriculum.
You know, the biggest challenge of working with Walmart is they really expect everyone on the team to know their language, know their terminology, and know exactly how they do business. So that's where 8th and Walton really comes into play. You know, it's the fastest way to get my team members up to speed.
Beaver Lake serves as the drinking water source for 1 in 7 Arkansans. Did you know that your actions can impact the quality of water in Beaver Lake? The Beaver Watershed Alliance is working to proactively protect, enhance, and sustain the water quality of Beaver Lake. With the help of partners, volunteers, and people like you, the Alliance is making a difference in Northwest Arkansas. Please learn more about your role in preserving the water quality of the Beaver Watershed and about how you can get actively involved. Visit beaverwatershedalliance.org. Beaver Watershed, our environment, our health, our home.
I would recommend 8th and Walton to other suppliers because from my experience talking to other suppliers, they were even learning new ideas or just new and better business practices.
Most people have little time for training, and so 8th and Walton is a perfect opportunity to send your new employees to understand the retailing system. And again, because trainers were suppliers, they know the how and the why, so they become very valuable very quickly.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Meeting, joined now by Chuck Hyde from the Soderquist Center. Chuck, thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
Last time you were here, we had a chance to talk about team development, and this time we wanted to sit down and really talk about personal development and some of the things that the Soderquist Center can help with, but also what are some of the things that you guys see and hear from team leads and vice presidents that are really kind of opportunities for those new people that are coming in.
Okay, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we're in the area of talent management, and I was in a conversation recently with a supplier team leader, and we were talking about here's just a couple of traditional approaches to talent management. How do you guys approach it? And it was interesting what he said because I had not really heard it in this way before. His version was, you know, really as you think about talent management through the progression of a supplier team, whether you're at the item level all the way through the category or the department level in an organization, he felt like it was the same core skills. In their company, they're looking for the same core skills to be successful regardless of the span of control or the span of scope of your job. And so same things, but have you developed a muscle to continue to manage the scope of work? So whether it's problem solving, the analytics, the critical thinking, judgment, those kinds of things, they're important if you're at the individual contributor level. They're also important if you're at the team leader level. It's a graduated use of the skill. It's a bigger muscle. Now that contrasts from other models that are also in the supplier community and elsewhere that says it's more of a stair-step type of a model. It says at this given level of your organization, you need to develop these competencies. And once you've done that and you get a new scope of job, you've now mastered those competencies and skills. You need to develop a new set. And that stair-step model keeps going as you progress in the scope. Both models are out there and prevalent, It's probably a blend of both, really. I think if you're thinking about how to manage your career, but those are the kinds of things, conversations we see, and understanding as we work with a given customer what that graduation looks like. Is it within new skill sets, or is it within the same core skill set with additional scope of responsibility? So we find that, and I think for anybody in this community that is aspiring to new types of jobs, new additional responsibility, what environment are they in, and what types of evidence are they demonstrating that they've mastered the things they need to master in order to get that next opportunity?
Well, it's kind of like you have to be able to manage some very basic stuff before you can even go on. If you think in childhood,
absolutely, it follows the adage of, you know, show me that you're successful with a little bit, and then I can give you more. If you can't show me that, then I really can't give you more. And so, being able to master that fundamental level of leadership or skill training allows me to reason to believe that I can give you more, and you'll be successful at that as well.
Do you see opportunities, particularly with new grads that are coming right out of school, who think, oh, hey, I've got my marketing degree, or I've got my T-Log degree, and I should be able to go work for Walmart and manage their entire logistics and supply team, or be a director in marketing? And there's a lot more that goes into that, so just a degree is not going to help you, but it kind of goes to that inexperience. Do you guys see a lot of that, or is it more of the experienced people who've been out several years?
I think with the new graduates, I mean, I think the best and the worst about them is their enthusiasm, right? Because they bring energy, they bring a can-do attitude. They're going to take over the world and just change it all, and that's great because of the energy they bring. Sometimes it's a little bit unrealistic in terms of what they're actually going to be able to do in the span of control and the span of contribution they're being asked to deliver. And so again, patience is a big deal there in that regard. And so one of the things that I try to help people understand, particularly when they're thinking about career and the job they aspire to have, is that be careful about looking for the job. Look for the job that may be on the way to the job. And I think people need to understand that, you know, it's not so much about paying your dues, but by acquiring different experiences along the way, that's actually formative experience that you're going to need once you get to that job you think you're ready for now. Right. And you haven't had those reps yet.
You know, one of the things, all my years at Walmart, one of the things that I consistently saw and was kind of subjected to is that they would move people around every couple of years. Absolutely. And as a supplier, I find that very frustrating because you get a buyer who really finally understands it, or you get a replenishment manager that understands it, and then they're gone and you're starting all over with somebody new who doesn't know who I am and doesn't understand what I know and what I can help with. But when I was at Walmart, it was frustrating, but I also understand some reasons that they did that, and I think suppliers are probably guilty of this as well. The more I move you around, the more businesses and parts of the business you touch, the more I can move you up.
Absolutely, and so organizational agility is a big deal in that regard. And so people that can be agile enough to function, go across function and acquire new experiences and new skill sets is actually a huge premium for supplier teams and inside the building at Walmart, as you know. So they're famous for moving people around, to your point. And I just think that it's a huge point. I had that discussion again with one of the a supplier team leader, and we were talking about that very issue, and he gave an example of some of their best marketers back at their home office got out of the marketing role for a season and came down and did a turn in a sales function on the Walmart account, and then went back to the home office to go back into their marketing career ladder. But that...
Hang on just a second. We're going to have to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation with Chuck Hyde on Saturday Morning Meeting.
GigWalk is an on-demand mobile workforce that can collect data and do work at retail. Businesses use GigWalk for retail audits, merchandising, and much more. With 350,000 smartphone-enabled workers available on demand, you get unprecedented speed and coverage across the US, Canada, and the UK. And all work is reviewed for quality and accuracy. Visit gigwalk.com to learn more.
K-Stack, the leader in collaborative retail consolidation programs. We offer the supply chain expertise needed to navigate the challenges of selling products with the world's largest retailers. And we provide customers with a customizable, scalable, environmentally sustainable supply chain with the same advanced technology typically used by larger rivals. By leveling the playing field, K-Stack lowers distribution costs and increases overall margins. K-Stack, retail logistics is what we do.
8th and Walton. the premier destination for Walmart supplier education. When and where you want to learn. Current, accurate, relevant, taught by suppliers for suppliers. 8th and Walton.
Their business model is suppliers teaching suppliers. So when you come to 8th and Walton, you can count on having very experienced trainers who understand how suppliers work within Walmart, and they take advantage of that and incorporate that into their curriculum.
You know, the biggest challenge of working with Walmart is they really expect everyone on the team to know their language, know their terminology, and know exactly how they do business. So that's where 8th and Walton really comes into play. You know, it's the fastest way to get my team members up to speed.
8th and Walton, the premier destination for Walmart supplier education. When and where you want to learn. Current, accurate, relevant, taught by suppliers for suppliers. 8th and Walton.
Beaver Lake serves as the drinking water source for 1 in 7 Arkansans. Did you know that your actions can impact the quality of water in Beaver Lake? The Beaver Watershed Alliance is working to proactively protect, enhance, and sustain the water quality of Beaver Lake. With the help of partners, volunteers, and people like you, the Alliance is making a difference in Northwest Arkansas. Please learn more about your role in preserving the water quality of the Beaver Watershed and about how you can get actively involved. Visit beaverwatershedalliance.org. Beaver Watershed, our environment, our health, our home.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Meeting, joined now by Chuck Hyde from Soderquist Center. Before we went to break, we were talking about a supplier actually switching roles, bringing a marketing team down and having to be a salesperson into Walmart.
Absolutely, and so to conclude that thought, it was they're better marketers because of the experience they had in a sales role on this account. So when they go back and supporting other parts of the business, that kind of exposure is huge for people informing that perspective by getting outside their core discipline or the things their conventional training's been in.
Well, I know there are several companies, suppliers here, particularly Unilever, for example, that when they hire somebody, they'll do a couple years here. Yeah. Inevitably, all roads are going to lead back to New Jersey, and so they've got to go there and do some time as a brand manager or another function, which does help them better understand all aspects of that business.
Absolutely. Well, and I was a supply chain manufacturing role when I was with Kimberly-Clark, and so we used to say, and we called it staff and plant, in that environment. And so we said the best people at staff had experience in the plant, and the best people in the plants had experience in staff. And it's an appreciation for what all the moving parts are, because when you're in one particular function or one particular location or one part of the company, it's really difficult to understand the broader context of the business and that organizational sensitivity to say, boy, if I pull this string, 4 other things are going to move.
Right. And
who are those stakeholders and who needs to know that? And so by getting a career plan that actually gives you that experience, even if it's a lateral assignment, has huge dividend to you as an employee, but also really back to the company in terms of you're going to make better decisions because of that experience.
And as an employee, your whole job is to make your boss look good. I mean, and then I think on the other side, your boss's whole job is to give you the tools and resources you need to make your boss look good.
Absolutely.
Because if your boss is going to look good, that means you're making your number, you're in stock, and all these things fall into place. The other thing that we had a chance that I wanted to talk about is playing well with others, because as I said, it's about making your boss look good, but you shouldn't go in just to make your boss happy every day. There are a whole team of people that you have to interact with and work with. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, sometimes the absolute best thing you can do is tell your boss that he or she is wrong, right? Or that they need to know something that they don't know, and that's doing a huge favor to the business and to them. But certainly research would show that one of the biggest limiters for someone's career or derailers is an inability to work with their peers. When you have direct reports, it's pretty easy, right?
You do what I said because I'm the boss.
Well, the organization has told them that person's your leader, and
right.
So they make that assumption. And so vertically, it's pretty simple. Horizontally, much less so. And so for people that understand that what it takes, business gets done through people. If you manage peer relationships well, that's a huge indicator that you're going to be successful at higher levels of the business, and that you can even, if you get promoted above your peers, that they're going to respond to that and have a healthy relation and respect that. Exactly.
And I've always heard you can tell someone's true character by how they treat wait staff. So you're in a restaurant with somebody, if they're disrespectful to the wait staff, odds are they're not somebody you're going to want to work for or really necessarily with.
Absolutely.
as you progress in your career.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the bridge being out, because it's an
Yeah.
example that as we were swapping emails that came up. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, years ago, one of the supplier team leaders told me a story about, and what he was trying to address in his, particularly his younger folks, was this idea of critical thinking, so that they could make better decisions. And he told the story is that we've got people on our team that they'll be marching along and they'll come to a gorge and the bridge is out and they don't recognize it and they just keep marching and they go off the cliff to their own peril. There's other people on our team that march along and they get to the place where the bridge is out and they stop and they turn around and say, hey, the bridge is out. What do we do? What he was looking for was more people who could approach that point and say, wow, the bridge is out. What are we going to do about it? Let's build a new bridge. Let's find a new way across. And,
right.
and that idea of, it goes back, it's easy to identify a problem, harder to solve a problem. And so the people that are developing those kind of analytical judgment, critical thinking skills, again, particularly in this business, a huge skill to learn and to lean into if you're trying to grow your career.
And one of the things that I've seen consistently is those who can identify the problem, most of the time already have a solution. It's whether or not they have the courage to step up and talk about that.
Again, that goes back to telling your boss maybe something that they're not thinking about or
right.
something they don't know, being able to lead up in that situation to say, hey, I noticed the bridge is out. I've actually got an idea. What do you think? And advancing those kinds of ideas is really what develops a reputation for getting things done.
All right, well, Chuck, thanks for spending some time with us. And if you want more information about how Chuck can help you with your personal career, let us know. And we'll continue with Saturday Morning Meeting coming up.
Eighth and Walton, the premier destination for Walmart supplier education. When and where you want to learn. Current, accurate, relevant, taught by suppliers for suppliers. Eighth and Walton.
Their business model is suppliers teaching suppliers. So when you come to Eighth and Walton, you can count on having very experienced trainers who understand how suppliers work within Walmart, and they take advantage of that and incorporate that into their curriculum.
You know, the biggest challenge in working with Walmart is they really expect everyone on the team to know their language, know their terminology, and know exactly how they do business. So that's where Eighth and Walton really comes into play. You know, it's the fastest way to get my team members up to speed.
Eighth and Walton, the premier destination for Walmart supplier education. When and where you want to learn. Current, accurate, relevant, taught by suppliers for suppliers. Eighth and Walton.
Beaver Lake serves as the drinking water source for 1 in 7 Arkansans. Did you know that your actions can impact the quality of water in Beaver Lake? The Beaver Watershed Alliance is working to proactively protect, enhance, and sustain the water quality of Beaver Lake. With the help of partners, volunteers, and people like you, the Alliance is making a difference in Northwest Arkansas. Please learn more about your role in preserving the water quality of the Beaver Watershed and about how you can get actively involved. Visit beaverwatershedalliance.org. Beaver Watershed, our environment, our health, our home.
I would recommend Eighth and Walton to other suppliers because from my experience talking to other suppliers, they were even learning new ideas or just new and better business practices.
Most people have little time for training, and so Eighth and Walton is a perfect opportunity to send your new employees to understand the retailing system. And again, because trainers were suppliers, they know the how and the why, so they become very valuable very quickly.
Bentonville Plaza, across the street from the Walmart home office, the best office location for businesses working with the world's largest retailer. Bentonville Plaza offers proximity and services like no other business complex in the area, including custom-designed suites and an on-site fitness center and restaurant. Pre-leasing opportunities are currently available for new construction. Call 479-200-1112 today.
Our thanks to Chuck Hyde as well as today's panelists. And as always, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Our email is saturday@8thandwalton.com. And be sure to join us next week when our featured guest will be Mike Malone of the Northwest Arkansas Council. And remember, during the Olympics, Saturday Morning Meeting begins at 6:28 p.m. I'm Derek Ridenauer, from all of us here at Saturday Morning Meeting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday.